Hi everyone. I've gone live in a vertical sense, which is probably not the ideal thing to do. Let's just see if I can probably lean it against it like that. Let's see how that goes in terms of stability. Let's just hope this can stay longer than I would expect. Okay. Well, there we go. An amazing situation where you'll see my thumbnail. You know, it's one of those. It's one of those situations where we need to review this World Cup, and I've mentioned some unusual things. Just a little bit on the frustrated side, the happy side, the rather down and out side. I've actually talked about this. You'll see in the thumbnail. Let's see if the thumbnail come out. Can you see the thumbnail, guys? Well, let's have a look if the thumbnails come out. Hopefully it has. I'm just trying to work out what this thumbnail looks like. Okay, it's there. All right. Basically, we're in a situation where I've talked a lot about in the more recent times. Yes, I'm joking a bit about the way that South Africa have yet again choked. People are saying to me that they have not choked. When you've got some 29 runs off 29 balls, and you've got two leading batters like Miller and Klassen in the bat, and you're only chasing 29 balls, you would expect to win, right? 6 wickets in hand, you're in a position to kill it. But they didn't. They actually lost their way and ended up being 6 runs short. That's not what you call just bad luck. It's what you would call nothing short of a choking, and I'm afraid that's the word I'm going to use. I'm not going to change it. I've had huge amounts of people on my social media getting stuck into me about the wording of the way I described the South African effort, and I've even gone a bit further than that. I've actually I've just put on there, this whole. Let me have a look. How can I put this? Okay. So the reality is that we have some terms. I've said this to me is a review in terms of a total review of the heart. I mean, I will tell you how I feel deep down about this particular series. You can see Don Bradman there, signed, very treasured possession of mine. But let's just have a little look here. I've said some poke. Now I'm referring to their USA. They've poked. They've actually given the actual competition a good poke. They've made their effort. They've put a stand on it, as well as Afghanistan, I would imagine too. Some choke. Well, the ones that choke, we all know who that is. It's South Africa, and you would have to argue Pakistan as well. Some woke, and when I say woke, awoke really, and that is India. They've awoken to be what they should be, the champions of the World Cup. They are a T20 specialist country with the IPL, and the reality is that you can't get any better than the way they perform. It's quite fantastic. So effectively, the one that woke or have woken is in fact India. Some hope. Well, you would argue Afghanistan was that team. They hoped, and they hoped for glory, and they got to the semi-finals, which was a major achievement. Mind you, it was not the be-all and end-all, but for a team that shouldn't be in the top 10, you would argue, that are making the semi-finals, therefore the top four, is a brilliant effort. And long live Afghanistan. I hope they play more high-level games and they get more exposure. They play some bilateral series with Australia, in Australia, get more exposure. Then, of course, you could also say some hope regarding India. Their hope was there, they received it. And some coped. Well, Australia coped. They didn't get through there, but they coped as best they could. England coped. They got through the first stages in the Super 8 by some fluke, because they shouldn't have. Scotland could have easily been there, and then Australia went through, as did England. West Indies had a lot of hope. Unfortunately, they stuffed it as well. They really were in the box seat. Bangladesh are a team that could easily have not could have taken Afghanistan out if they'd won that game by sufficient points. So another team, a great. I'm actually getting messages. I'm just telling people good I am live. It's funny when I start to go live on my program, people start to try to text me. I'm just gonna. Okay, so all right. Let's see if I can see some of the comments here. Justin, Jadeja retires from T20s. There you go. That's it. So we're losing Kohli, Rohit Sharma, both of them, and that's quite a shock. And now if Jadeja's also retiring from T20, well, they're all gonna retire in a high, and that's very commendable. But looking at the depth of the Indian team, even without Sharma, Kohli, and Jadeja, you've got Akshar Patel there for Jadeja, you would argue. You've also got Kuldeep Yadav's now in there as well. Rohit and Virat would not open. Then you'd simply put Jaswal in there very, very quickly. And even Samson you could throw in there. It's Rinku down the order. It's quite an endless number of players that will take their place. Captaincy will be an interesting one. Will it be like Hardik Pandya? Will he become the captain? Interesting. So Jadeja is retiring. Vinay has announced retirement from international cricket. Right, a choke is a bit harsh for South Africa. India kept taking wickets on a regular basis. We're never more than one wicket away from breaking the game open. Bangladesh is stuck. Don't ever know where. Okay, look, let's just be wary of that for a moment. So you can't say India, South Africa choked. I'm going to get to that point. I'll make it very, very clear why you can only use the word choke, because it's exactly what happened. They made a final, commendable. They played Afghanistan, who were on such a massive high, coming down the next game, and in fact could not handle the semi-final after such a historic rise to a semi-final, and they got beaten by South Africa, yes. But South Africa, when they were up against good opposition, they choked. Okay, so someone's trying to... Okay, all right. If you look at... I've actually uploaded a number of posts about the teams. Now, there's no doubt, a team like Australia has had a lot of success over the time. A lot of success, we know that. And it's interesting when you actually watch, when you view the actual listings of how they've gone. And I've put it on my community page. You'll see that Australia has actually won 10 ICC tournaments. The categories are, in fact, it's been some 32 ICC tournaments since its inception, categorised with ICC Men's Cricket World Cup, which is effectively the ODIs, ICC Men's T20 World Cups, which we saw last night, the ICC World Test Championship, the world has come through now as well, and there's also the ICC Men's Champions Trophy, which has existed. So in total, there's some 32 of those trophies which have been awarded. Australia have won 10 of those 32. Huge number. They've had 6 wins in the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup, the ODI. From the 6 wins have been 87, 99, 2003, 2007, 2015, and 2023, as recently as last year in India. They won the ICC Men's T20 World Cup once in 2021, and they won the ICC World Test Championship in 2023. They've also won 2 Men's Champions trophies in 2006 and 2009, so they've got 10. Second on the list, of course, is India. India have won in total now 6 ICC trophies. Obviously, the most recent one last night. They've won 2 ODI, or the so-called Cricket World Cups, as they call them, in 83 and 2011. They've won 2 Men's T20 World Cups in 07 and 24. They haven't won a World Test Championship yet, which I'm sure they're going to want to get. And they've won 2 Champions trophies, 2002 and 2013. In fact, 2002, they shared it with Sri Lanka. So they've got 6. Then you have the third country, which is the West Indies. They've won 2 World Cups, as in Men's Cricket World Cups, the 50 over, In 75, the very first, and 1979, the second. Then they've won the T20 World Cups in 2012 and 2016, two each, and they've had the one Champions Trophy in 04, total 5. So that's pretty damn good. So Australia's on 10, India on 6 trophies, and West Indies on 5, all worthy of it. I had a comment on my social media about so-called chokers, and I go, well, all teams are chokers, and no, that's not the case. Teams do win World Cups. They've broken that ceiling, that barrier, such as Australia on many occasions now 10, obviously India 6 and West Indies 5. England have won 3. They won a World Cup in 2019, which we all know, against New Zealand. That was an amazing match to be there for. They've won 2 T20 World Cups as recently as 22, the previous one to this one, and 2010. Haven't won a World Test Championship and haven't won a Men's Champions Trophy. So they're 3 up. Another 2 teams are on 3. Pakistan's won 3 as well. They've won a World Cup in 92. They've won a Men's T20 World Cup in 09. And they won a Champions Trophy in 2017, which was a very interesting one. I remember that. Then Sri Lanka, of course, won the 96 World Cup, as we know. They've also won a T20 World Cup in 14. And they've won a Champions Trophy in 2002, shared with India. So they're 3. So there you go. There's 3 of the there's several teams which have reached that point. Very interesting indeed. So if we go on a bit further, let's have a little look here. I've got it all down here. Then you go below that. Then you hit. So effectively, Australia 10, India 6, West Indies 5, and then 3 teams, England, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka on 3 trophies. Then you have New Zealand on 2, haven't won a World Cup, as in a 50-over World Cup. Went very close to winning a T20. Went very close as well. They've been in finals, many finals. The 2012, they've been in the T20 World Cup. We're running up to England in a nail biter. They've won the World Test Championship, which is only New Zealand and Australia won the World Test Championship. There's 2 teams, and they've won a Champions Trophy in 2000. So they won 2 tournaments. Then you have, so that's 7 teams. Australia 10, India 6, West Indies 5, then England, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka 3 each, which makes 6. So Australia 10, India 6, West Indies 5, then England, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka 3, which makes 6 teams. 7th team is New Zealand. They've won 2. So the top 7 teams. Then comes the choker in 8th position. South Africa not won an ODI World Cup. They've been in semi-finals and choked. T20 World Cup, they've choked just now. The World Test Championship, not even gone close. And they've only won the 1 trophy, which looks like the very first Champions Trophy in 1998, and that's the only one they won. Out of 32, South Africa won 1, and it's the lowest of level of ones that you can muster. So not good. And they're the 8th highest team. Now, obviously, Bangladesh hasn't won any trophies. They're 9th, and Afghanistan haven't won a trophy, so they'd be 10th. And you can name a few others beyond that. But that just shows you how lowly ranked South Africa are in the winning of ICC tournaments. Only a mere 1. And in 1998, so some 26 years ago, the very first recorded Champions Trophy, it looks like. So I can't get too excited about that at all. 3 players retired, Rohit, Virat, and Jadeja. Yes, let's laugh on South Africa. To me, South Africa, people say they should have won. Well, they did. I don't care about who should have won. Who did win? Who's on the record books? India, and deservedly so. They beat Australia convincingly. South Africa didn't play Australia. South Africa really, didn't have it easily, but they weren't outstanding at all. They played well, yes, I'm not denying that. But they choked. India got 176, was it not? Which was quite a commendable total. Quite a good effort indeed. I mean, they really were in a great position to win that. and and then South Africa came home admirably. They were 2 wickets down. So New Zealand women's is 4.4. Okay, so let's have a look at this breakdown. So effectively, Mongia says sometimes sport is messy and without explanation. So the fact that realistically, history weighs heavily as South Africa die another death. I'm afraid that's the only way of looking at it. You cannot say it any other way. Really can't. It's they're showing David Miller's wonders what could have been. Well, I'm sick of hearing this. They should have make it happen. They had a great, South Africa had a very good side. Quentin de Kock's last hurrah, would argue, Klassen with his hitting, Aiden Mark, pretty good captaincy. Then you got the young gun Tristan Stubbs, Maharaj and Shumsey both bowled well. Rabada, of course, with Jensen. Mokier also was a pretty damn good side. But what happened? They only were able to make the final, and in history, no one will talk about their position in the final. It'll be who won 2024 ICC Men's T20 World Cup, and they will say India. No one will think about it South Africa. They'll go, oh, yeah, they went close. It will become irrelevant. There was a shot David Miller played, which Sky, took it on the boundary there. It was out. And I don't think it would have mattered. They had to get 16 off the last over. It would have been a monumental effort to get it. But as it turned out, they were 6 runs short. So there's not much to be said about the way that South Africa went about it. They 176, they scored 169. They really didn't get enough runs. I almost knew from the moment that Rohit Sharma won the toss and elected to bat, they were going to win. Even though Rohit fell quite cheaply, and so did Punt. Kohli, what a performance, 76, when it really counted most. He's now left the T20 arena as second highest run scorer. He's actually first for a long time. Rohit Sharma pipped him at the post, but he's now second. But overall, he's 1,209 runs, 1,208 runs behind being reaching a position of second most prolific run scorer in all formats, Test, T20 and World Cup, as in ODIs. He will become the second highest. And the man in front of him, of course, is Sachin Tendulkar. He's going to have to pass, I think, Ponting and, Ponting certainly is one, I think Sangakkara is the other, but he only needs 1,200 runs to do that. And even though he stopped playing T20 cricket and effectively ODIs as well, he's still got a Test career to continue, and he'll score 1,200 runs, I'm pretty sure, in that format in the next 12 months or so. I think you'll see him score that. Nobody remembers the runners-up. Exactly, nobody remembers the runners-up. South Africa have choked. Out of 32 trophies that have been issued, only one's gone South Africa's way. Now, if they're a top 8 side, they're a top 4 side most of the time. Well, they've only won one. They are now languishing at 8th. As I said before, Australia have 10 out of 32. Amazing stats. Then India now have 6. They've just pipped West Indies, who have 5. And then the lots of England, Sri Lanka and Pakistan have 3, all very commendable. And then 2 for New Zealand. That's 7 teams. They're right there. 7 teams ahead of South Africa. They need to be really looked at. If it's a good evening, what's the words? Okay. It's good to see people from India here joining me. Krishna Shukla, I can see that too. Yeah, so that's an amazing step. Let's just quickly take a moment to look at the women's script. I think the men's was pretty impressive. Let me look at the women's. Let's have a look here. Okay, in women's cricket, they've had 20 tournaments. Okay, they actually went back to 1975 for the 73 actually for the Women's Cricket World Cup, which is the 50th World Cup. Australia have won 7 with 78, 82, 88, 97, 05, 13, and more recently 22. England has 4 with 73, 93, 09, and 17. New Zealand has 1. West Indies have none, and that is it. Out of 12 ICC Women's Cricket World Cups, Australia has won the most there with, let's have a look. It's quite an impressive stat. So there's been 13 men's World Cups, remember? But in fact, there's been some 12 women's. So Australia have won 7 of them and England 4. So there's a dominance of those two countries. And then when it comes to women's T20 World Cups, there's been 8. And Australia have won 6 of the 8 in the women's. 10, 12, 14, 18, 20 and 23. Only 09, which went to England, and 16 has gone to West Indies. New Zealand haven't won. There's no women's test T20 Champions trophies. So effectively there's been 20 trophies. Australia have won 13 of them, England 5, and 1 each to New Zealand and West Indies. Only 4 nations have figured. It's quite a dramatic state of affairs that really is a long way off. In terms of under 19 men's cricket, interesting enough, India's won the most with 5. Australia's only won 4. Pakistan's won 2. Bangladesh, South Africa. Bangladesh actually got a Guernsey in the 19. Bangladesh, South Africa, West Indies, and England have all scored 1. So out of 15 World Cups, India's scored 5, Australia 4. So Australia's dominated, you can see that. Now, in terms of future World Cups, with 2026, which will be the next World Cup, it'll be the Men's T20 World Cup. It'll be held in Sri Lanka and India from February to March 2026. That's the next one we're looking forward to. This is the T20 World Cup. But the ODI World Cup, or the 50-over World Cup, Cricket World Cup, is in 27, and that's in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. That's probably the only hope they've got of having any chance there is by being played there. So there you go. But it is sad that we're now hearing from the commentary that Jadeja's joined Kohli and Rohit Sharma in the retirement phase. Australia's lost Warner as well. I would dare say that Stark, Hazer would follow. Wade will follow there as well. So there'll be some. You'll see Jaswal opening for India without a doubt. They've got Samson. They've got quite a few. Kuldeep Yadav, of course, with Akshar Patel's at the future as well. I'm not sure Washington Sundar's floating around, but yeah, Australia both teams I support. I mean, women. Well, the women's team are very, very dominant in women's cricket. Very, very dominant indeed. They've got incredible stats, as I rattled off a minute ago. They've won a huge number of the tournaments there. Let's go back to that one again. Australia won 7 of the 12 Women's Cricket World Cup, 7 of the 12, with England 4, New Zealand 1. They've won 6 of the 8 T20 World Cups. Incredible. They've won the last 3 in a row, 18, 20 and 23, with only the West Indies winning 16. Yeah, so it's 13 out of the 20 have been awarded to Australia. That's a pretty damn high mark. And with the men's side of it, with the ICC Cricket World Cup, which is 50 overs, and the T20, their World Test Championship, and also the Champions Trophy, there's been 32, and Australia have won 10, with second being with India now going to second spot with 6, and of course the West Indies have 5. They are very well credentialed in that process, with 3 more being England, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, making up 6 of the 8 sides, having 3, and then New Zealand at number 7 with 2. And again, South Africa, number 8 with just 1. Just 1. Senator Mitty saying that says India was lucky today, South Africa unlucky. No, I don't agree. How can you call it being lucky or unlucky? Nothing happened to turn the match in that manner. There was that one dismissal, which is deemed to be a 6, which could be a bit dubious, but realistically, they've played. India won the game fair and square. As soon as they won the toss, really, they won the match, in my opinion. It would have been very hard for South Africa to come over the top of them, I would argue. Okay. So there you go. So it's an interesting scenario there indeed. I'm just trying to get this up here. Let's have a look here. So yesterday, luck's something that you earn. I'd argue more than anything else. You earn it. You don't necessarily, um, not something that you are lucky about. Luck happens with the like there was a fair bit of luck in the New Zealand England World Cup match there in 2019. Don 007 here, but you're called Don 007. You're called Client TCO1. My God, how many YouTube channels have you got? And why do you need all these weird names? Bit confusing, I would say. So I'm doing the total review from the heart, which of course is my way. Long time it's been. Now, well, you've got to have breaks on occasions. You can't be on all the time. Though I think the World Cup hasn't deserved to see, except for perhaps the early matches where the USA beats Pakistan and India beat India and Pakistan. There were some interesting matches there, I must say. Certainly the matches that Afghanistan played were very interesting. Australia had some interesting matches as well. But look, the end was the most exciting match to me was seeing Afghanistan beat Australia, and then Afghanistan knocking over Bangladesh to make certain that their semi-final spot. England getting through, which we did not expect. But yeah, in the semi-finals, England was exposed by India big time. India did a job on England, they did a job on Australia, and they also did a job on South Africa. So there's nothing but, aberration. See you in Australia series. Yeah, I'll be there for Australia versus India big time. I've already booked my hotel room called the Oval in Adelaide Oval. So in the Adelaide Oval buildings, a structure, you have the main member stand at one end, which is more the, I think it's the river end, and then you have the other part being the church end. You have the river end you have there, but I'm more towards the church end on the side. I'll have a room, and I'll be able to go out into an area there and sit down, have a coffee, and look over the ground before the game starts, of course. Once the game starts, I won't be to the leisure like that. So, Sky's boundary catch looked fair. It certainly did. They looked at it very carefully. It was not an unfair catch, and that didn't turn the match. The fact that South Africa had 29 runs to get off 29 balls, and then could only get as close as 6, meant they stuffed it. They had Miller and the likes of Klassen there, and those two should have hit 29 with their eyes closed. Even though Bumrah bowled well, yes, I'm not denying that, but it's a small ground. They could have chanced their arm a lot more, but they tightened up. There was one shot by Miller which went for 6, but he was caught and that was out. But, make sure you hit a 6, get over the boundary. So this time, actually, Proteas deserved, but it's on their own that they messed up. Yeah, it's called choking. There's no other way of looking at it. They really can't handle this. For some reason, they've got a hoodoo over them, a cloud over them with World Cups. They've only won the one Champions Trophy back in '98, and they've not won anything since. Been knocked out in semi-finals on numerous occasions by New Zealand, by Australia, and now they made a final. Yes, they went through the back door. They played against Afghanistan when they were down, and hence it meant that they really weren't proven in that position. So I haven't got any sympathy for South Africa at all. Women's South African teams the same. They're playing admirably against India, but they're getting beaten. They played World Cups. They got beaten. Women's and men's. It's a horrific. They haven't won any trophies in women's cricket. None. 0. And only the one at a Champions Trophy in 1998, which doesn't really rank in the same level as a T20 World Cup or an ODI World Cup, or even more so the World Test Championship, which is rather new. Only been 2 winners, Australia and New Zealand. It's got to develop a bit more, but yeah, it'll get there. What do I think of the Aussie feed up the World Trophy? Okay, Australia deserved not to be there. They didn't play well enough, and that was it. Baram's just showing you something. So they had to cock, but Is South Africa had de Kock, but India had a Hardik. You know, if you didn't get it, forget it. But yeah, funny Baram, funny Baram. Oh boy, I'm just having to reply to people here. But yeah, it's very interesting. I'll just look at some of the. I'll just talk you through some of the comments about the South African match again. Markham said defeat is gut wrenching and good for it to sting. Well, that's what they keep on saying. They keep it just keeps on happening. It has to be hard. Okay, so the South African captain said, "I don't." The South African captain said the team will reflect proudly on the tournament, but in the in immediate aftermath they will hurt. Yeah, well, we all know that. Aiden Markham vowed that South Africa would near miss in the T20 World Cup will fire us up for future tournaments. Oh my God. It's been 32 and you've only won one, 26 years ago. But admitted that their failure to win their first major title after nearly 30 runs for the final 5 overs was gut-wrenching and pretty tough to deal with. Yeah, 5 overs, 30 runs, they should have walked it in, even if India were playing well. This was South Africa's first men's World Cup final in either white ball format and they looked nailed on to chase 176 after the 15th over of their innings, which saw Axel Patel concede 22. So that was pretty hefty over that over. But India's bowlers conceded a single boundary via Kagiso Rabada's outside edge in the final 30 balls to pull off a 7-run win and leave South Africa to dwell on what might have been. So that's choking. Asked to put his emotions into words, Markham said, "I don't think I can say them yet. To be honest, it's tough. This group is a great bunch of people. In my opinion, they deserve really good things to go their way." Well, it didn't happen. You need to get mentors that are non-South African. Get people like Adam Gilchrist in there to talk to him about how he won the World Cup. Ricky Ponting, those sort of people. So Markham goes on to say, "I had a really good feeling about this competition before we came here, and as the competition went on, that feeling got stronger and stronger. It's pretty tough to deal with now. Well, it didn't get strong enough, did it? But it's sport. At the end of the day, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, and we'll try to use it to fire us up for future events." They're a long way from that. The core of South Africa's side are aged 28 to 34, with Marco Jansen and Tristan Stubbs the only young players picked for the final. So that doesn't say they'll be there for the next time around. Some of them will have moved on by the time of the next T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka in early 26, which is, under 2 years now. With Quinton de Kock's retirement expected imminently, but Markham believes the rest will use this defeat to spur them on. Well, they're going to lose a whole heap of their players. It's a great group of guys that have been together for quite a while, long time now. Australia said the same thing. India could say the same thing. Pakistan could say the same thing. That doesn't matter. He said to get our first final, like I mentioned a few days ago, is something we can be proud of. Yeah, you can be proud of making the semi-final, yeah. But still, in our eyes, not good enough. Well, in everyone's eyes, not good enough. You're not supposed to be making a final. Now, you've got to win it. Correct. I'll take a bit of time for us to reflect back on all the good things that we've done, but obviously, for the time being, it's just hurts a lot. And as it should hurt a lot, you did not win the bloody match. Is New Zealand in decline? A bit wavering, I must say. Yeah. Not the test circles, maybe the short format. Markham said he was proud of his team, performed throughout the comp, winning 8 games out of 8 to reach the final. So what? It means nothing when you lose the final. In hindsight, things will still feel really good about this competition. Just for the time being, it stings a bit, but it's good for it to sting. It gives you that little bit of fire in the belly for the next time that you're there. Well, after 32 and missing out on 31 of them, a number of them failing in semi-finals by choking, got a lot of psychological effort now to do, because the ability's there with South Africa, nobody's doubting that, but the choking is there even more eminently. South Africa should get in, as I said, Adam Gilchrist, Ricky Ponting, Steve Waugh, Border, those sorts of calibre of people who know what it's like to win tournaments. Ian Botham, there's a lot of great stars. Shane Warne's passed. Another one. He also said that by reaching their first final, South Africa has become one step closer. One step closer, 3 steps far away. And that when they finally win one, there'll be a snowball effect of quite a few to come. Bullshit. Bullshit. How can you say that? How can you say, oh, we win one, there'll be an avalanche of more, or a snowball effect of more? Bullshit. Australia's won 10. England have won a number. West Indies won 5. India 6. Don't give me that crap that they're going to suddenly win a bucket load. Rubbish. Rubbish. They've missed their chances with a pretty good side, which are going to not be there in a few years' time. They missed their opportunity. It's a tournament cricket. It's tough cricket. It's not easy to win trophies, and you've got to take your hats off to teams like India for lifting the trophy. A lot of hard work goes on. Yeah, we know that, but mental strength when it counts. Get yourself a better mental coach, or more so, people in there that have won World Cups. Afghanistan brought Bravo in. Very clever move. It's just gut-wrenching, that's really what it is. Each player's been on a different individual journey to get to the first final. And ultimately, you become really tight as a group, and you want good things to happen to this group because you know they're great people. Well, yeah, that's perfectly fine, but you didn't win. When you get really close like that, especially the nature of how the game went, obviously it adds to the emotions. It's one of those things, but we can channel it moving forward. Oh, give me all that crap. Get a psychology coach or a mental coach to teach you how not to choke, to move on from there. Do not bring in former players that have been a part of the choke, like Klusner or the like. Bring in other Australians, Tendulkar. I said Ponting, Gilchrist, Hayden. You keep naming them. I mean, there's lots more. Markham also singled Heinrich Klaassen out of the praise after his 50 or 27 balls, took South Africa into their position of strength with 5 overs remaining. Yeah, Klaassen was pretty classy. When he took a few catches, he was quite arrogant too. It was special. Markham said, we've seen him do it many, many times around the world, but not in an ICC tournament. To deliver it on the stage, that is really special effort. It's going to be tough for him when we reflect back. There's going to be lots of things to be happy about. I'm sure that knock would make it easier, really tough to put in a performance like that. Yeah, okay. Markham's basically said nothing as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Jadeja's, how Marsh has gone. Well, yeah, Mitchell Marsh is a player that hasn't really proven himself. Well, he's done well. No, I'll take that back. He has done well, but especially when he was in the under-19 circle, he won there. He didn't have a great tournament. I do think some of the Australian players were not really mentally there. I don't think Warner was there. I don't think Wade was there. Wade shouldn't have played. Josh Inglis in the back row there. He should have. Josh Inglis should certainly have played. That was a mistake not having him in the side, for sure. But Australia, they're going to go through some rebuilding, as are New Zealand, Pakistan, West Indies to an extent. They're all in Sri Lanka. Oh my God, they were abysmal, very poor. But they've won a World Cup, so they can rest on their laurels a little bit. Then you look at the top tier teams, the top players. India clearly will be going through transition now, losing Sharma, Kohli, Jadeja, but they'll come back good. What do you feel with Gambhia's coming in now? Coming in now as the coach? Are you talking about? Because I think Rahul Dravid's ending his coaching. Oh, Gambia's pretty good. I've got a lot of faith in him. But India, proven quality. England did pretty well considering they weren't playing well early on. New Zealand's a bit of a worry. Sean Marsh was supposed to rise and was more talented. But Well, Sean Marsh was not a captain necessarily. He was more of a test cricketer than a short form cricketer, I must say. Um, Definitely Mitch Marsh is more notable for his games that he plays at the short form, the white ball games, without a doubt. Sri Lanka's history, yeah. Sri Lanka's one of their best players is not playing. Ross and Dickweller. Oh my God, he should captain Sri Lanka. I know he's had issues with, I think, some mild drugs or whatever he's been on with, but he is a player that they need in that team. Great swashbuckling opener in the short format. Not been allowed to play. Taking the most dismissals at test level as a keeper. Fraser McGurk, yeah, he's coming in the Australian side. For Warner, they need to get some bowlers in there because Hazelwood's starting Cummins have seen better days and they're not young. The next couple of years, they'll be, you would think, on the outer for sure. Yeah. Nathan Ellis was sufficiently good to be in there more. He'll be bowling more. He'll be there. Nathan Lyon, well, he's not in that format, is he? Sri Lanka now looks like a team who would get one or two good bowlers. They need a lot of structural help in their board and their team structures, their performance. They've just lost yet another coach with Silverwood. It was pretty good, I thought. They're going to start getting their act together there to have any chance of forging any form of success in the future. Very, very ordinary Sri Lanka. Bangladesh haven't quite got there either. You know, that's something of a concern. So how is... Yeah, it is a good question. Why did they choke in 98? It was only... I don't think much of the Champions Trophy either. I don't know what happened in 98. They probably were spewing about their overall form. They lost there. But, yeah, I mean, there's not much to be said with the way that South Africa performed at any level, I'm afraid. So I have 49,495. So 505 off 50,000. That's my choking point. I want to make that happen. Mixed emotions here. 3 greats retiring. That's a very big deal. No, it's certainly a big deal. They're losing both Kohli and Sharma. It's quite a loss. In terms of leadership, if not playing ability, you would have to think that, Jaiswal will come into the side for sure. You'd probably bring in Venkatesh Iyer. Samson might be brought in as well. India have got a plethora of good players to bring in. There's no shortage of players there. They'll recoup and recover. Just a matter who takes the leadership of the team now that Sharma and both Kohli are both out. Will it be Hardik Pandya for a while, will punt captain, or will they bring in Samson and the like to take that role on? It will be interesting. Bangladesh exits just to disturb the World Cup. Well, look, Bangladesh could easily, as we said, could have made the semi-final. You've got to give it to them. They would have gotten Afghanistan out a bit earlier. They would have made it. They were very, very close. Probably not quite realising they were that close, actually. I think that's a fair comment. Fair comment indeed. Yeah, it's an interesting state of affairs, really. All right, so I think no one replaced Bumrah this time. Well, Bumrah's got a few years left. He's not gone yet. The Indian bowling is still pretty damn strong. I think there's not much of a worry there. But going back to the way the overall comp, we had 20 teams, and we had teams like Oman, PNG, Scotland, Ireland, Uganda, incredible teams really, that made their way through. Then, those teams, and USA was another one that was, and Afghanistan was another. Lots of teams came through and played particularly well, I thought. I thought there was a lot of good about the way they played. And I'll just quickly go back and have a look at the teams that played the World Cup. Let's have a look. Points table, here we go. Well, we had okay. Let's go through them. Obviously, Nepal was there. Nepal, Netherlands, PNG, USA, Uganda, Oman, Namibia, Canada, Ireland. Amazing. So they'll go through the 20 teams. Don't forget. Let's go back to the group stage. Group A was headed by India, who won all their matches, had no result. USA was second, Pakistan missed out, Canada missed out, and Ireland missed out. In the second group, Group B, we had Australia, England, both of them didn't make the finals. Scotland, Namibia, and Oman, so that was poorly ranked. The third group, Group C, we'll call it West Indies and Afghanistan led that. West Indies didn't get through to the semis, Afghanistan did. New Zealand fell away, Uganda and Papua New Guinea. In the fourth group, well, the winning team was not from there either. South Africa were the best, but they didn't get through. They got through the final. Bangladesh could have went through the semi-finals. They didn't. Sri Lanka did not make it. Only won one of the 4 games. Netherlands went close, and Nepal did not win any. So there's your 10, 20 teams. So out of that, we were left with 8. And the Super 8s, and we had India, Afghanistan, Australia, and Bangladesh in one group, and South Africa, England, West Indies, and USA in the other. And out of the groups, Group 1, Australia and Bangladesh both fell away. India and Afghanistan didn't. They stayed in. And they played separate. They played South Africa and England. South Africa finishing on 6, England on 4 points. West Indies only won 1 game, and USA won no game. So that was the problem there. So it left the semi-finals of, as we know, Afghanistan versus South Africa. Afghanistan did not even get into the hunt there, mainly because of the fact that they had played such a high in the Super 8s to get through the semis, and they were probably quite shocked and weren't quite ready for South Africa. As it turned out, South Africa weren't quite ready for India. They lost there, so it says it all. All right. Any other questions? Zimbabwe didn't qualify. You're right. They will qualify now for the next World Cup because they're on the list. They're another team that was in the top 10 that didn't quite get through. All right. No other questions. We might cut it there. So the summary is well done, India. India deservedly won the tournament without any losses, which is a big effort, as we know. It's a huge effort. A very commendable performance by India, unbeaten. Of course, South Africa were unbeaten as well until they reached the final, commending that, but they didn't win it, did they? So being undefeated goes all out the window in the end because they didn't get through. Your thoughts on the future of the ODI format? It's looking more and more like the fact that the ODI format's got its days are numbered. I'd have to argue. Whether we go from a 50 over to 40 over format, we'll never know. But the T20 tournament is here to stay. The World Test Championship is here to stay. Whether the Champions Trophy goes or the ODI is the question. There's a lot of push now in the world for T10 performances. I don't know whether we're going to see that, but there is a push to shorter versions, especially when we encroach on the American market and on some of those markets like that. But at this stage, I think ODIs may well become less frequent. So look at the way that it is now. 26, we have a T20 World Cup again. So the 50 over World Cup won't be until 2027, I think it is, being 4 years from last year. And that is in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Namibia, which means those teams will automatically get in, won't they? Will Champions Trophy 50 overs game or two? I think the 50 over game is the one that'll be discussed, and or the Championship Trophy. Manu John saying ODIs and tests are necessary. I would agree tests are necessary. ODIs, well, then why do we have the Champions Trophy then? Is that, I don't quite get that then. I'm not sure why we've got both. One should give. It may well be the Champions Trophy that goes. But yeah. ODIs, the last ODI World Cup. That was in Australia, wasn't it? Last year. And Australia won that, of course. The last T20 World Cup was before that was England, and they won it. Simona Johnson's Champions Trophy and ODI World Cup look the same. They do. I don't quite know why we're playing the Champions Trophy, to be honest with you. I would think that is somewhat of an unnecessary trophy. I'm not sure what I still don't quite know what they're referring to when they say Champions Trophy, to be honest. Lala Madol, isn't it? Just trying to find the discussion on. Yeah, I just ODIs or Champions Trophy. Well, get rid of the Champions Trophy if that's the case. If it's deemed to be a lesser importance. Yeah, I just get myself talking there. Some awoke, some choke, which we know is South Africa. Some hope, well, India hoped and they succeeded. Afghanistan hoped and they got to the semi-finals. And some coped. Well, Australia coped, but England coped, but didn't get quite through. We need more focus on tests. I agree. I love my tests. What do you think Mitch Marsh continues at T20? I think he will. I don't think it's over for him just yet. I think he will continue. To be honest with you, I think that he will continue. I can't see him not continuing, to be honest. Maybe you don't agree. Okay. We need more test cricket. The World Test Championship I really like. Now, when's that going to be on again? Where's that going to be on? I'm not sure. Is it going to be in England again, which it's been twice over? Australia beat India, and the previous one, New Zealand beat India. So India have not made it twice, they haven't quite gotten through, which is interesting. All right. As you can see behind me, I have the Bradman signed poster. I have ones there for Arjuna-Rantunga, the World Cup. I have also ones which are signed by Viv Richards, the likes of Curtly Ambrose, Wes Hall, even a bat with Glenn McGrath and Arthur Morris, and Jeff Thompson's on that bat as well. All right, guys, we've had a good session. Congratulations, India. They deserve to win. They beat sides like Australia, South Africa, very convincingly. Afghanistan was also beaten by Afghanistan did a great job. They beat Australia, and they almost beat. They beat Bangladesh as well in that important match. Nepal almost beat South Africa. That was quite a ball over. The 2025 World Cups in Pakistan, isn't it? Okay. I didn't follow that particular year. I'm not aware of that year. Women's Asia Cups in Sri Lanka in July, which is next month, and then I think it's September. It's the World Cup for women in Bangladesh, which will be interesting. Certainly interesting. Any other questions, guys? Because I'm about to lock up and go for the night. Good night, Norman. Thank you for that, guys. And you can see there we are. And you got the signatures there. You got the Sri Lankan top. One there of Murali and Warren. Both reaching the wickets. Okay. All right, guys. We might stop there. And I hope you enjoyed it. Well played in there and make cricket survive. I agree, Manu. It will. Don't worry. It'll survive. No fear. All right, guys. For this so-called a total review from the heart, I've given you India were in my heart. They won. My head told me India as well. As a matter of fact, I had them winning. Australia, well, they can't win everything. They didn't make it through. And, of course, New Zealand, Pakistan didn't even get through the early stages. England luckily did. West Indies did, and they didn't. They fell when they needed to stay. It doesn't leave much left. So, really, the disappointments were definitely Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and New Zealand. Then disappointing how West Indies fell out the way they did. And South Africa in the end, with Australia. That's 6. And of course, 7 was Afghanistan, which they've become the top 8 team for sure. And then you've got, of course, Australia, the winners, India. It was a magnificent effort. All right, guys, stay tuned. View, like, and share the post. Make sure you subscribe. 49,000, almost 500. Hopefully next time we're on channel where we'll be hit 50,000. West Indies was a bit too overconfident, which finished. Yeah, I agree. They were a bit overconfident. A pity they missed out on the opportunities. Anyway, all right, guys, take care. Talk soon. Talk soon again. All the best. View, like, and share the post. Subscribe to Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. Eyes on Sports with a Z. You'll find me here. I'll try and do things more regularly. All the best. Ciao.